ஓகே. ஹே கைஸ், எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். இப்போ என்ன பண்ண போறோம்னா நம்ம 4.2 ஆர்கான் குவெஸ்ட் அப்படியே கண்டினியூ பண்ண வேண்டியதுதான். ஆக்சுவலாக நான் வந்து முதல்ல நான் அப்படியே கரெக்டாக கான்செப்ட் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணலாம்.
Welcome to Palais Mermonia.
There's no such thing as pure freedom in this world. Even the wind cannot blow on forever.
என் ஆடியோ கம்மியாக கேட்குதா? ஒரே நிமிஷம். என் ஆடியோ ஓகே கரெக்டாக தான் இருக்குன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அவுட்புட்
Relax.
கரெக்டாக தான் இருக்கு. ஃபைன், கண்டினியூ பண்ணலாம். நல்லா இருக்கா?
Fury.
It's been a tough few days, hasn't it?
இதை
Paimon
முடிக்கல
didn't think
நான்.
the meetings would go on for so long, but everyone seemed pretty fired up, huh? Paimon thought they'd be at least a little frightened. Well, Fremine was, now that Paimon thinks about it, but everyone else just looked a little surprised. It's hard to say. Paimon doesn't have any experience with this sort of thing. But with you around, Paimon sure will do great. After all, you're the most reliable person in the world, aren't you? Did you just pour some tea? Paimon didn't notice you doing that at all.
Awesome.
Then what's that? Paimon's never seen that cup before.
Don't be frightened. I'm just joining you two for tea.
Who's that voice? But there's no one here.
Ah, have you forgotten me already?
Wait.
The voice from the sky, I fear that description is wrong. Though, not completely. You're feeling lost now, just as you were feeling previously. I sensed that confusion and thus came to you.
டயலாக் எவ்வளோ
Consider
பொறுமையா
me a
மூவ் ஆகுது.
passerby, just accepting a commission from my friend's disciple on a whim. The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesized will be fulfilled. You may view such things as the history of the future.
What? Then is there any way we can stop it?
I believe you have witnessed a failed attempt with your
Jinna.
own eyes. Can everything in Tevat so easily be changed? Ah, so you've caught on. Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the gods' gaze does are the things that you shall see different from the fate that the gods perceive?
What is she talking about? It all sounds really impressive and important and stuff, but it also sounds kind of scary.
I believe that you understand, right? Some things are insignificant, but others you must reach out to change. Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. This was good tea, by the way. Thank you for your hospitality. Well, that'll be all for today.
The voice. It's...
ப்ளூ. ஓஹோ.
What? Alright, coming! Hey, it's you who's getting lazy, okay?
Well, I see I've walked
Oh,
in on
madam,
some
oh,
lively
madam.
banter.
Mona!
Fine, just fine. I went to take part in that Steambird panel. It turned out to be more interesting than I expected. Not all Fontanians are pessimistic about this. One journalist mentioned that sitting around and waiting for the end to come would be wrong, and that they should make their own rescue preparations. I agreed, so we had a brief chat
சரி
with
ஆயிரு
her.
வரைக்கும் பெஸ்ட்.
Did she have pink hair by any chance?
Why, yes, it was
Pink
Charlotte.
hair.
I assume you've heard of her, no? That daredevil journalist? I'm in full support of her view. Prophecies are very important, but how can people allow their lives to be commandeered by just a few?
That's right! Paimon's glad to hear something sensible for once.
Yes. About what we had discussed before. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't reach the old hag. I'll try again tonight, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. Huh?
மாஸ்டர் ஃபிட் போடு கென்ஷின் ஆடுவீங்கல்ல ப்ரோ. ஆமாம் ப்ரோ, நான் ஏஆர் 56 நினைக்கிறேன். 56 55 ரெண்டுத்துல ஏதாவது ஒன்று.
Goodness gracious. Are you serious?
நீங்க ப்ரோ?
She said that even the god's gaze has blind spots. Pretty bold if you ask Paimon. Most people would believe the gods to be all-knowing, right?
The Hexen Circle members are certainly anything but ordinary. As for the mage named N, the old hag has mentioned her a few times. She said that N's sense of direction is incredible, and that she loves guiding those who are lost.
Oh yeah, 50, nice bro. Genshin ஆறதே விட்டேன். ஓஹோ.
But I've
நான்
never
இப்ப
met
ஆர்கன்
her,
கொஸ்ட் வந்திருக்கு,
and
அதான்
if she
மறுபடியும்
were
ஆடுறேன்.
still alive, she'd be... Well, suffice it to say that the hag's at least a few hundred now, and N's been around for longer than that.
நேத்து ஆடின ஃபுரினா கிடைச்சது. ஓஹோ, ஃபுரினா நல்லா இருக்கும்ல விளையாட.
The Hexen Circle sounds like a scary group. But they must really stay in shape to live so long.
நான் வந்து ரைடன் ஷோடனுக்கு வெயிட் பண்றேன். ஃபுரினா பேனர் ஸ்கிப் பண்ணிட்டு 4.3ல வருவான்னு கிரெடிட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. பண்டானா ரைடன் தான்.
Their abilities alone are pretty terrifying. If she came to see you personally, then the problem you're facing must truly be of great importance.
Well, it's not like Paimon could understand anything she's...
Yes, she was quite cryptic, but I suspect she means that there is still a way to turn things around. She didn't say when or what that would be, though, so...
இந்த ஃபவுண்டைன் ஆர்கான் குவெஸ்ட் தான் ப்ரோ வேற லெவல். செம்ம போகுது ஸ்டோரி. நான் போன ஸ்டெம்லேயே நான் இந்த ஸ்டோரி குவெஸ்ட் ஃபுல்லாக முடிச்சிருப்பேன். அது என்ன ஒரு லைட்டாக சின்ன பக்குமா வந்துச்சு, அதனால அப்படியே என் பண்ணிட்டேன்.
Perhaps it is something that you cannot know right now. Traveler, Paimon, are you two all right?
இப்போ திடீர்னு டைலாக் ஸ்லோவாக போகுது.
We're fine. We're just a little down right now. It kind of feels like the end is coming, you know?
எனக்கு ஊட்டாவும் இல்லை, ஆர்கான் இல்லை. ஸோ ஃபுரினா வாட்சும் கோப் பண்ணணும்.
I see.
ஃபுரினா அப்போ பெஸ்ட் சாய்ஸ்
I
தான்.
guess you could consider me someone who has often witnessed fate. So far as I have seen, it cannot be swayed. But even so, I still hope for and believe in miracles. Astrology is eternal and rational, but fate may not be. It is cruel.
எல்லாம்
It can
இருந்தா
also be
ஊட்டா
beautiful.
செம்ம டேமேஜ் பண்ணுவோம்.
Perhaps that's what N was trying to tell you. Not to lose heart, and to believe that what you are seeing playing out before you is not yet set in stone.
ஆமா ஆமா, சிமுரு குவெஸ்ட் வந்து ரொம்ப பெருசு, அது
I did
கடுப்பு தான்.
originally think of steering
அது
clear
ஸ்டோரியும்
of all
போரிங்கா
this,
போதும்.
but I couldn't. Even if this is all futile, I still wish to help everyone. If we don't struggle to the last, then how can we face the end when it comes?
Huh. You do have a point.
There I go, talking about astrological principles again. Sorry about that. The moment I start talking about work-related stuff... I need to get going. It was worth trying to comfort you, even if only a little. I believe that you'll help those who are
Easy,
struggling
Spectre.
in the same way I did.
எக்ஸ்லமெண்ட் மார்க் ஸ்பெக்னு போடுங்களேன், அதுலயே
I
வந்துரும்.
suppose that might be why we
SPAC.
always seem to meet by coincidence.
அதுல வந்து கீபோர்ட் மவுஸ் சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிட்டேன், ஸ்பீக்கர் சேஞ்ச் பண்ணிட்டேன், புதுசா மைக் ஆட் பண்ணியிருக்கேன். அப்புறம் பிசிக்கு கேபினெட் மாத்திட்டேன். அப்புறம் வேற என்ன
Paimon feels
மாத்தினேன்?
kind of moved by what Mona said.
எக்ஸ்ட்ரா
Hey,
எஸ்எஸ்டி
traveler.
போட்டிருக்கேன், அவ்வளவுதான்.
Paimon suddenly feels like going... Let's walk around the city, shall we?
மிச்சபடி
There's a few spots
ப்ராசஸ்
we always like
கிராஃபிக்ஸ்
to walk
அதுதான்,
by.
அதுல இருக்கிறதே தான். ஐயோ, எக்ஸ்லமெண்ட்ரி மார்க் ஸ்பெக் அது போடுறீங்க. அதெல்லாம் அந்த கமெண்ட் ஒர்க் ஆகாதான் எனக்கே டவுட்டாக தான் இருக்கு. அவனும் நினைக்கிறேன் மோஸ்ட்லி. மேலே போக முடியுமா? அப்புறம் அதில் ஒன்று மானிட்டர் செகண்ட் மானிட்டர் ஆட் பண்ணல. நான் அப்டேட் பண்ணுவோம் அது. பாருங்களா மேலே தானாடா. இதை கிளிக் பண்ணால் கீழே காமிக்குது. டிடிசி 16 ஒரு நல்ல என்ட்ரி லெவல் கிராஃபிக்ஸ் கார்டு இப்போதைக்கு.
The wind rises.
ஐ மீன் நான் இப்போதைக்கு சொல்ல மாட்டேன், ஒரு 2 years பேக். இப்போ வந்து என்ட்ரி லெவல் கிராஃபிக்ஸ் கார்டுனா 3050 தான் என்னை
Our
பொறுத்த
names
வரைக்கும்.
are written in this newspaper. Let Paimon see. The underwater stronghold, the Fortress of Meripede, has continued in its noble autonomy. But that does not mean that others cannot interact with it.
பட் ஒன்லி 500 GB ஸ்டோரேஜ்.
My recent attempts
ஸ்டோரேஜ்னா
to enter
அப்கிரேட்
the
பண்ணிக்கலாம் bro.
fortress bore
எனக்கு
little fruit.
பிரச்சனை இல்லை அது.
Huh. Guess Charlotte still hasn't given up on that.
நான் வந்து 2 TB 125 GB ஸ்டோரேஜ் வச்சிருக்கேன்.
Thus, did an Outlander friend become the focus of this report? A blinded Venturer with their white fairy
அதான்
legends
சொல்றேன்.
trailing in their wake.
இப்போ நம்ம
It is said that
இந்த
this
கரண்ட்
mysterious
சிச்சுவேஷன்ல
traveler
வந்து
once
என்ட்ரி
visited
லெவல்லே
the
RTX
underwater
3050 தான்.
fortress.
GTX கார்டெல்லாம் GTXல highest 1660 தான் நினைக்கிறேன். அதுக்கு மேல RTX சீரிஸ் ஸ்டார்ட்.
So while the fortress's interior remains a mystery behind closed doors, do not fear, for the tales of the traveler contain surprises in spades.
இப்போ 3050 பிரைஸ் கம்மி ப்ரோ. 24 23 அவ்வளோதான். நான் என் கார்டு வந்து கோவிட் டைம்ல வாங்கினேன்.
Charlotte's biggest scoop yet.
34க்கு வாங்கினேன் அந்த
The
டைம்ல.
trap,
அந்த டைம்ல வந்து
Charlotte took so
3050 வந்து
many awesome photos of
37க்கு
us and we
இருந்தது.
never even noticed. She hasn't
இப்போ
been
வந்து
able to get a
24
hold of
தான்.
anything at the fortress, so since we're easier to find, she's using us as the subject matter instead.
நானும் மோஸ்ட்லி அந்த மாதிரி தான் ஆடுவேன். ஸ்டோரி கேம்ஸ் எல்லாம் PS4ல விளையாடுவேன். காட் ஆஃப் ஸ்ட்ரீம் பண்ணிருக்கேன். அது ஒரு லாஸ்ட் ஸ்ட்ரீம் எண்டிங் பார்ட் இருக்கு. எனக்கு மோஸ்ட்லி நாளன்னைக்கு விளையாடுவேன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். நாளைக்கு காட் ஆஃப் முடிச்சிடுவேன். மிச்ச கேம்ஸ் எல்லாம் பிசில விளையாடுவேன்.
Seriously? Well, fine. Those headlines and photos do look cool, so Paimon will forgive her this time.
Uh, 30 FPS playable ஆமாமா. RTXல என்ன சப்போர்ட்னா என்ன கெத்துனா ரேட் ரேசிங் வரும் ப்ரோ. ரேட் ரேசிங் சப்போர்ட் பண்ற கேம் கிராஃபிக்ஸே வேற மாதிரி தெரியும். அது ஒரு சம் அட்வான்டேஜ். மேபி ஃபியூச்சர்ல நான் கிராஃபிக்ஸ் கார்டை கண்டிப்பா அப்டேட் பண்ணுவேன். 4070 Ti மேபி.
We're here! Paimon's hungry. Should we go in and get something to eat?
அதேதான். FPS தான் மெயின். நான் சொல்றது அந்த ஸ்டோரி மோடுக்கு சொல்றேன். காம்படிட்டிவ் கேம்ஸ்க்கு FPS தான் மெயின். கிராஃபிக்ஸ் தேவையே இல்லை.
It's the limited edition, only 16 slices a day cake! It was so delicious the last time we tried it. Despite the tense situation we were in, let's give it another go. Paimon's sure it'll be great.
47ல அதிகமா கரண்ட் இல்லை. ஆமா ப்ரோ, ஹை லெவல் கிராஃபிக்ஸ் கார்டு எல்லாமே கரண்ட் நிறைய இருக்கும்.
One slice of
அதுக்கேற்ற
cake,
மாதிரி தான்
please.
பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸும் கொடுக்கும்.
Someone showed up after all. Oh, wait, you're the one from the Palais Mermonia.
Oh, are you here to buy cake too? It seems Monsieur Nervalet was right.
Wait, did he really say something like that?
That's right. Even he has his own preferences when it comes to food. As for me, I love the cake and coffee here.
Do you come here often?
Usually every day.
Every day?
ஹை பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ் கன்சியூம் ஹை பவர்.
It's part of my
fact.
daily schedule, apart from work. I shall have my cake and coffee.
இதனால தான் லேப்டாப்ஸ்ல எல்லாமே வால்ட் மென்ஷன் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க. கிராஃபிக்ஸ் கார்டு பக்கத்துல 90 வால்ட் 50 வால்ட் 30 வால்ட்னு.
Then what if someone told you one day that this place would be closing soon and you wouldn't get to eat cake here anymore? What would you think?
But why would it...
Well, Paimon doesn't know either, but maybe Maybe the waters will rise tomorrow. You know, like in the prophecy.
Oh, the prophecy. To be honest, I haven't paid much attention to that.
நான் சாப்பிட்டேன் bro.
Still, even if there'd be no more cake tomorrow, that wouldn't keep me from having some today. No. It's the same for eating in general. You might not be able to eat tomorrow.
இப்போ வந்து நார்மலா
Don't be
போரிங்கா
sad.
போயிட்டு இருக்கு.
Excuse me, could I have 2 more? These 2 slices are for you. Sijuin said that this kind of
That's
expression
the
you're making is
logo.
what humans call being sad.
Oh, you know Sijuin?
I sure do. She was born before me, and she sometimes comes to the surface to teach us things about humans. She said that humans are creatures that are saddened easily. Yes, and you can only lift their spirits by feeding them delicious food. So please try the cakes here.
வீட்டு திறந்து வந்து ஐஸ்கிரீம் தானா?
I've got
Okay,
something else
okay.
to do, so I'll be going now. You two try to stay in a good mood after eating, all right? Bye.
And there she goes. All right, let's dig in. I'm sure this cake will be delicious.
எப்போ ஒரிஜினல் ஆர்கன்
It's
ஸ்டார்ட்
more
ஆகும் தெரியல
delicious than
மறுபடியும்.
last time, and the flavor gets even
எனக்கு
better with
இந்த
the sip
கொஸ்டோட
of
எண்டிங்
tea.
பார்க்கணும். அது
It
வேற
sure would
மாதிரி
be nice
இருக்கு.
if we could come again tomorrow. Sure would be nice if we could always eat delicious food.
அதெல்லாம் சும்மா வச்சிருக்காங்க.
Oh, we're near the Steambird office. Let's go look for Charlotte and have a chat.
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon!
Ha! You've got some nerve.
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in Poisson some time back, so I sent you a letter to discuss just that. It appears you didn't receive it, though.
பிளேலிஸ்ட்ல பாருங்க bro.
It's all right, though. I've set aside the
ஆக்சுவலா நான்
amount
நிறைய
intended
ஸ்ட்ரீம்
for you.
delete
I've
பண்ணிருப்பேன்.
even set
இல்ல
the table
பிரைவேட்ல
with some
வச்சிருப்பேன்.
food.
மோஸ்ட்லி எல்லா கேமுமே விளையாடுவேன் bro. மூடு பொறுத்து.
Oh, you're the best.
You're almost a little too easy to win over, Paimon. If I were a journalist with ulterior motives, you'd be in trouble now, you know.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like that.
Still, what brings you here all of a sudden? Were you looking for me?
பாயசம் போட்டாச்சு.
A friend of ours met you a while back, and when she mentioned it, we thought of coming to see you. Her name's Mona.
Ah, so you know Miss Mona as well. She's a guest columnist for our paper. Really good one, too. She's so young and already such a brilliant astrologist. So she mentioned me? What did she say?
She said that you're a real daredevil of a journalist.
Okay, bye bro.
Nice. In which case, can this daredevil journalist dare to request an exclusive interview with the legendary Traveler and Paimon?
Huh? So your article in the paper today doesn't count?
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was more like live photography. What I'd like to do is dive deeper and ask you to talk about the things you've seen and experienced.
Yeah, are we even qualified enough?
Why not? If I say you're worth an interview, then you're worth it. But not right now, of course. I'll need a few days to prepare.
Oh, in that case, we'll just chat when you have the time then?
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! I'll tell the editor-in-chief immediately. I'll have to apply for lighting, a venue, some props, and... Whew, so much to get done now. Talk to you later.
Wait, Charlotte, Paimon's still got a question for you.
And what's that?
If, just for example, Fontaine were to be flooded tomorrow, what would...
Huh. That's the prophecy you're talking about, isn't it? I mean, I do hear about it often, but I've never once thought that the day could be tomorrow. If you're seriously asking, then I might try and think of a way to leave Fontaine. Oh, but I'm still a journalist first and foremost. That means I have a duty to be reporting from the scene. And secondly, I wouldn't forsake from what I've seen. Most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. In truth, it might be better just to behave like normal rather than worry. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. I know what you're thinking. That sounds a bit sad, but I've always believed that it's best to do what you enjoy.
வந்துட்டேன்டா.
Just think about it. If this nation really
Just
were
meet
to be
ya.
suddenly destroyed tomorrow, but I still successfully finish an exclusive interview with a truly unique person, then the story I would wind up writing would truly be timeless. And then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for
Rani.
printing, and use messenger pigeons to get copies out to the various nations as soon as possible. I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic,
Till
but I
6
do
PM.
love my job. And I'd be proud of leaving such an article
ஆர்கான்
behind.
குவெஸ்ட் முடிச்சுட்டு தான் வருவேன்.
But anyway, that's my answer. And on that note, I'll get back to my preparations.
That's so nice.
இதெல்லாம்
Anyway,
skip பண்ண
let's go
போறேன்.
and take a look at the sea, shall we?
மெயின் ஸ்டோரியே வர மாட்டேங்குது கர்மம்.
The sea
Main
breeze
story
and scenery
வரும்னு
can be a pretty soothing combo, huh?
மேபி இப்போதான் வரும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். சான்ஸ் இருக்கு.
Hyman's been thinking. If it wasn't Fontaine, but all of Tevat that would be destroyed tomorrow. No, Paimon should ask if you could choose. We've always been moving to the next You mean still traveling? Huh.
இந்த தீமே செம்மையா இருக்குடா. ஆவியா.
Feels like you'll grow mold, but it's still better.
Ah, so the two of you are still here.
Oh,
So when
you're
should
from
I
the
come?
Palais
Yes, I'm Isadora.
ஒரு
Monsieur.
கொஸ்டின் முடிச்சுட்டு நான் சொல்றேன்.
Not at all. Yes, and
A riot?
well, that Lady Farina loudly accused, and before she could respond, the crowd continued to grow, and protests against the Hydro Archon started to break out.
So people have started to put the.
I agree.
So what happened after that?
Seeing that the situation was spiraling out of control, and that the
Farina
Marshal
வச்சு
Phantom
செய்ய
had their hands
ஆரம்பிச்சாங்க.
full maintaining order, and did not catch where Lady Farina had gone.
So
That's right.
Farina
The
missing,
Marshal
wow.
has dispatched many people to search for her. That said, I don't think there's much to worry about.
என்ன level
She
40?
is a god after all. Good. Monsieur Nervillet sent me to tell you about the situation, but he didn't say anything else.
don't worry. This is more than enough to go on. Thanks for keeping us informed.
Ah, is that so? Well, all right then. In that case, you two take care. I'll be heading.
நியூ லெட்டர் போய்
Well,
பார்க்கணும்னு
sounds like we
நினைக்கிறேன்.
should hurry over to Poisson then.
பசங்களா?
If we know Farina, she won't try to fix things in this situation. Instead, she'll. And as we also know, she may be when Nervalet. It would be hard. Hyman thinks. Huh. Well, what do you think? In that case, there's no.
இந்த பாட்டு ஃபுல்லாவே தேவையில்லாத டைலாக்ஸ் தான்.
This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here?
ஓ ஃபுரினா இருக்கா?
That's Farina, right over there. She really is here all on her own.
Should I just give up? This is all meaningless. What was meant to happen did happen after all. Everyone's dead. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up, Farina. There's no point in holding out. I'm sorry. But what can I even do other than to repeat meaningless apologies over and over? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina, it's just us.
So it is you, blonde traveler from another land. Why, I almost thought you were someone from that mob of my ignorant subjects. Come to kneel and beg for my forgiveness.
Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. The show at the Opera House earlier this morning was so moving. I'm still trying...
Who did that uncivilized rabble think they were? Disturbing my enjoyment of the art. They even dare to tout their Archon. I must teach them a lesson. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the of course not!
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some that's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Farina just ran off. Quick, we have to catch up. This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them
What? What is...
Hurry, they're almost here!
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted. Lead the way.
Talk to Furinawa. இந்த சைட் குவெஸ்ட் காணுடா நிறைய கர்மம் இருக்கு. சைட் குவெஸ்டா வச்சு சாடிக்கிறாங்களே. The magic show at the Apparos. நார்மல் கேரக்டர் quest வந்து ஆர்கான் quest கூட சேர்க்க மாட்டாங்க. அதுல பண்ணிருக்காங்க கண்டென்ட். இல்லனா எனக்கு தெரியாத ரெண்டுத்துல ஏதாச்சும் ஒரு மினி.
The wind rises.
என்னாச்சு?
Paimon's excited to see another of Linny's magic shows! Wait. Lynette, shouldn't...
Not this time. My brother's going solo today, so I'll be watching with you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody's ready. The great magician Linny has prepared a spectacular show for us all tonight, concluding with an all-new grand finale that no audience has ever seen.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Exciting stuff, isn't it?
என்னடா
Yes, it's
பேக்ரவுண்ட்ல முடிச்சிட்டாங்க.
No wonder. So, how did...
children love and somehow
Aw.
it was.
Oh, that's...
Is that
நான்
right?
தேவையில்லை நம்மளுக்கு
After
ஆர்கான்
all,
quest தான் மெயின்.
you never know.
That's right.
Right. Yes, you can breathe easy.
See?
இதெல்லாம்
There's
எக்ஸ்ட்ரா
the weasel! Lorenzo escaped? Where is he?
கண்டோ எஸ்கேப்.
As Linny once said, but once the back, it's been 10 years, Gemma. Aren't you?
What are you talking, Traveler? Paimon doesn't like where this is going.
Ladies, and there will now be a brief intro. The final performance will take place outside of the Opera House.
The Phantom Weasel never did like Don't worry. This place will be quiet.
Too slow. Squall Fury.
Dear me, this is awkward, isn't it? And unfortunately, I'm all out of gadgets, so I'm afraid I can't do any tricks to liven up the This is a big mistake for a magician to make.
Lenny? Lynette accused Gemma of being...
All in good
Really? Well...
Let's go back to the very beginning. A decade ago, when the Phantom Weasel... But as her infamy grew, so did... Of course... After weighing her options, she set her...
So, being the master deceiver she was, the Weasel easily earned Caesar's trust. But as she was at her encouragement afterwards, Lorenzo seized his master's property, and the Weasel set about tarnishing Caesar's reputation. 2 co-conspirators committed the perfect crime.
I've got to hand it to you. You're both exceptional storytellers. It's enough, but I just have one question.
Don't worry, Lorenzo, but I never believed that he was the Weasel. And in fact, my investigation only made me more...
How disappointing. So you'd sooner trust Lorenzo than me? Even without a shred of evidence?
A magician is an expert at playing the audience to get the result they want. And I have no doubt that you, Gemma, are equally talented in this. With a little help from Lorenzo, Caesar was maligned and hated by all for 10 years, but you? Everyone sympathized with your... Who would suspect for 1 second that the lovely young lady always seen weeping in front...
Wait, so you mean... But why would Lorenzo agree to that? And why...
Yes, why indeed? Maybe Gemma herself could enlighten us on that question.
Well, Linny, if you're so confident in your version of events, then I think the answer should be having killed Caesar with his own hands. Lorenzo was plagued by overwhelming guilt. Revealing the Phantom Weasel's true identity would serve no purpose. But if the Weasel remained free...
An excellent answer. Those...
Is that right? Well, don't let me bore you. If you'd care to change the topic to something more interesting, I'd be much...
As a matter of fact, there's... Why would the real Weasel...
Of course. If I had to guess. Left to fend for herself after her parents died, she'd scrounge waste. This was her only source of happiness in life. Once again, she was betrayed. This was a fate too cruel for anyone to bear. I detest the I will rob them of...
That's some pretty
ஒரு
heavy
நார்மல் NPC கேரக்டருக்கெல்லாம் ரொம்ப
Does this
ஸ்டோரி
store-
Yes, it is quite to my tastes. Thank you for helping to...
Huh. Because without that, none of...
She didn't write the letter.
After 10 long years, Linny. Or should I call you the...
Very sharp, Well, no need for me. The most straightforward way to change the public's impression of Caesar was to force the Weasel to show themselves. Of course we did.
10 years ago? Wait. Oh, I get it. You were those 2 obnoxious kids. It's been so long. He taught you magic back then, didn't he?
We remember all our debts, however great. 10 years ago, Caesar's but we did not forget.
And? What exactly?
Free? Do you really think so? Caesar once told me that even though the world is filled with lies and falsehoods, we must... I think that applies to you too. Life took many things.
What are you trying to
I'm saying that for the last... Back to Lorenzo for a sec. He knew who you were and the things you... You're more than just accomplices in murder. You're the only real friends each other has. But that truth is gone now. And I guarantee you, you'll never...
Congratulations on your freedom, Gemma.
Your freedom will cost...
Gather round, one and all. I'm sure you're all wondering what he has...
A high-altitude escape?
I'm sure you all remember that we have now learned that Caesar was wrongly accused.
Guess that's my cue to leave. Traveler, Paimon, I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. There may be a lot of people watching tonight, but...
Lenny, you 2 hid a lot from Caesar. You don't have to tell lies to end up isolated and alone.
You're wrong. I'm nothing like you.
So,
Like Linny said, when you're ready, let's head out.
But what about Gemma?
She'll figure out what's best for her soon enough.
Oh,
வெனம் வைட்டிடும்.
Magic should be mysterious, surprising, and defy logic. Magic is hard work. Every single movement has to be practiced thousands of times.
It's alright. We're used to that.
We're sorry. You've taught us so much, but we can't tell you the whole truth.
It's okay. Do you still remember what I told you? This world is full of lies and falsehoods. I only hope that one day you can find your own truth.
What about you? Have you found your truth?
Magic is my truth. I want to perform a magic trick so great that people will always think of me when they talk about it. For a magician, what greater honor could there be?
Look! Behold! Linny is sealed inside the box. Will he manage to escape? 10 years ago, Caesar attempted this very trick, and it was at this precise moment that...
Watch out!
Mysterious. Surprising. And logic-defying. Isn't that right? This honor belongs to you, Caesar. I'm just sorry it's a little late.
Did you see that? 1 minute he was falling, and the next, he turned into flowers.
How could he possibly have done that?
How mysterious. I didn't blink once. He just vanished, right in front of my eyes.
What a heart-stopping magic show. This was really worth the trip. Caesar's name has finally been cleared, and Fontaine's new star magician, Linny, is...
Looks like everyone really loved Linny's grand finale. Paimon doesn't see Linny anywhere. Oh, Lynette said he'd be waiting for us at the usual hunt. But, oh, you mean the one where... Yeah, that's probably it. All right, let's go look...
Magic is a I was honestly sometimes did he regret taking Gem?
You know?
After I joined the House of the Hearth, I told you about my past before, but I quickly realized I needed to learn how to improve my... We were gifted enough that...
So that's why you...
Yes. In all, we own... For instance, but in truth, what amazed me was how trust is a beauty.
Linny...
Still worried about... But don't worry, I'm used to it now. From the mansions of the elite to the house after Caesar went that night, to keep secrets is... You only realize how much someone really meant to you when you...
Yeah, we've had this delicious food. You know, Traveler, doesn't that kind of...
Exactly. It's the same... Life has taken plenty for... That's why the darkness... Alright.
It was amazing,
Whoa, that's a bit of a tall order, I'm afraid. The show's just finished, so my sleeves are
Aw, come on!
Oh, alright then. Watch closely. I have a flower in my hand.
You liar! There's nothing...
Huh? My...
3?
Now, have another look.
Really? Let's see. Wow, did it! But more importantly...
Well... Since you have...
Is that it?
Look at the time. We shouldn't linger here too long. Thanks again for coming to see my show. I look forward to...
Alright, shall we head back now,
பட் இது
Q?
முடிய போகுது நினைக்கிறேன்.
Oh, let's head to the steamboat.
ஆர்கான் ஃபெஸ்ட்டை கண்டினியூ பண்ணலாம். வந்துச்சு. எத்தனை ஸ்டோரி குவெஸ்டோட லிங்க் இருக்கு? ஐயோ. ரிலேட்டடா இருந்தாச்சும் பரவாயில்ல.
Upon the gale. Behold.
Paimon's exhausted.
I'm so tired. I totally thought they had caught me. No, I mean, I merely gave in to the sheer enthusiasm they displayed. You're right.
Yep, that's a good girl.
What's happening? The ground's shaking. Is it an earthquake?
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be. It's happening again.
Well, there's no need to worry too much about that. Novelette's made some emergency plans, so the evacuation should go a lot smoother this time.
Yeah, I hope you're right. But the people of Poisson, they've already... It's true. I've been investigating the prophecy for hundreds of years. I once had informants all over Tevat, searching for clues and feeding information back to me. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back the sea. Anything to keep the coastline from advancing. But all my efforts proved to be futile in the end. Really, the truth has been clear to me for a very long time. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the heavenly principles will have its way, and the prophecy shall be fulfilled. Give up. I do love the sound of that phrase. It would mean finally coming to terms with fate, but also for me to finally be free. Indeed, I've thought about giving up so many times, especially after we almost lost Poisson. Fate is really unreasonable, isn't it? It has no heart and obeys no rules. The prophecy has only just started to come true, and so many people have already lost their lives. But just now, it all became clear to me. I still don't have the right to come to terms with fate on behalf of everyone else. As long as the final moment, don't worry. I will keep hope alive for everyone until the very end. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all. Don't take any of what I just said seriously. How could I possibly let Fontaine fall to the whims of trivia?
Come on! Paimon could have sworn you were actually being honest just now.
Cher, that's impossible. It was fated right from the start that this would be my duty. A witness. Yes, I've heard that you came to Tevat from beyond the stars, yes.
In other words, you never belonged here. And if Tevat is, in its entirety, a show on a stage, then you're just a spectator. If that's the case... I...
அட பாருங்களேன் அந்த ஸ்டோரி எப்படி லிங்க் பண்ணிருக்காங்களே.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado, we may proceed to the trial of our god.
So this is what it is. Yes, you deserve praise for the effort you took to raise the dramatic stake. Do not forget, however, that I am Fosalor, the god of justice, the embodiment of justice itself. Does it not strike you as even the least bit absurd to bring the
May I interpret these words as your refusal to stand trial? In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a duel.
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She just surrendered.
What the heck is going on? Did I just see an Archon surrender to a human?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the raising of both hands is not always an indication of surrender.
Looking for excuses again!
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance of the trial. No duel shall be necessary. I will admit that I've been running away for a long time. I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. It is my duty to stand trial for my crimes. You are not the only ones to be disappointed in me. I, too, am exceedingly disappointed in myself. But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her courage and resolve. I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world the true meaning of justice! This time, applaud and rejoice. One of the most outrageous and fantastical arcs known to the opera epiclese is now unfolding before your eye. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial of the Hydro Archon, Fosalor, will now begin!
Woohoo! Oh, now we're... Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Didn't she just get forced to stand trial for her crimes? Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic, she is taking this seriously this time, right?
All right, then. Who will be my opponent in this trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tevat, my accuser and fated opponent.
So, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins, just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia, the president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members, waiting for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie.
So, you mean the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontanian history.
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Areneas. Was an Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance. Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the giant magic box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can get you gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight. Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson. You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage.
Oh?
Is that so? Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance. It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to...
Sir Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial.
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey! Oh, let Paimon see. So in other words, we can refer to this. Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon. I didn't think this is the first of the fortress of... According to Miss... I nearly lost my... The words of someone as extraordinary as a witch can probably...
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on, Nervilette. There's no need. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant, and of course, it is only natural for human...
That's true. But my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon.
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Yeah. Even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned...
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born. There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld? If you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's happened as a dramatic spectacle and move on with our lives.
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Farina's claims, but also overturn the long-held...
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe I'm not the Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if I was not the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
That doesn't... First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan. And second of all, even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
இது
Who
முடிச்சோட
gave
தான் நான்
you
வருவேன்.
that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Neverlet?
Lady Farina is actually a human?
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart just by looking at them. It's not impossible.
Me and Venom waiting up.
Don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being?
மெசேஜ் போடும்போது ஒரு ரிப்ளை இல்ல. நீங்க விளையாடுங்க, அப்ப நான் வந்து ஜாயின் பண்ணிக்கிறேன்.
Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the
You tried to reference the Oratrice. But weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, You should have come up with a good explanation for that by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend.
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce
my power as an Archon. There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of—
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Isn't that?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon—
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't— I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Please, you've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
Did she deceive all of us? And all of our parents and grandparents too? And all of our ancestors?
Enough. That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is? If you have no evidence of another Hydro Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such, then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually the real deal?
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. That doesn't sound... It has been established that all Fontanians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea.
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right here and now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedures.
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief Justice. I swear this really will be the last time that I'll speak now. I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, including those of some of my... So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is...
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontanian like all the rest of us.
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same as a confession of guilt.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word. It really does seem like she's quite terrified of it. That could only mean...
What's going on? Is she really planning to... that's not...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may...
Hey!
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is still here! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like a normal human who would fall apart as soon as they touch this water! Really? Was this not the most obvious thing?
Miss Siegewin? If you're present, Miss Siegewin, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siege? Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss...
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate that she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Thank you, Miss Siegewin. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh wait, what did she just say? I didn't get dissolved! Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, on the off chance that something entirely unexpected might occur, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Farina could have...
I can't believe... Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks! What happened just now didn't prove a single thing about it! How can you conclusively prove that an Archon can't also be affected by the... Also, if I was really just a human, why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of... Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me! I swear, I really am your Archon!
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone who's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus: the Hydro to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Farina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice? We just wanted to use the trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth. How did things escalate this quick?
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Farina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon.
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial
Fremine! Huh, you finally made it.
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to me.
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate. Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and confirm their contents.
Huh? So what do you see?
I believe I have now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Farina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon. So when you say Hydro Archon, do you mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kinda talking about?
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Paimon will do it. Stone Slate describes what you just said. It seems, does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, then perhaps this process can be reversed as well. The second Stone Slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But this must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not if. That doesn't sound...
We know from and the first this might be the reason that Fontaine. Perhaps the truth and the original. It's not as simple as when Navia fell into the sea. Her consciousness was subject. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. The prophecy from the fortress of Meropide was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontanians to dissolve. If we hadn't dealt with it in time,
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an Oceanid. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and the eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meropide was the surest sign that the prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truth should come to light. It now, so that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like we're going to have to share some truly shocking revelations.
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater. And how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial. All of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratries judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating.
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese.
Yeah, isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but it does answer a lot of our questions.
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. A key point of the visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the 3rd slate, that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the 4th slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the 4th slate, You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meropide served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must...
It was both...
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only...
the truth, the original sin.
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in your dream?
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Teyvat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will be...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontanians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover its strength?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated with the sea itself. Even if the entirety of Teyvat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
That's not something I will accept. We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe.
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end, no matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually, ultimately,
What's happening with the oratories?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Farina! No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Farina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor. Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria, for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand.
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina.
முடிய போகுது.
She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
ரிவ்யூ பண்ணுவீங்களா ப்ரோ? இப்போதைக்கு அந்த ஐடியாவில் இல்லை. மேபி ஃப்யூச்சரில் நிறையா கென்ஷின் பிளேஸ் வந்தாங்கன்னா பண்ணலான்னு இருக்கேன் கம்யூனிட்டியில். தமிழில் இப்போதைக்கு ஒரு 5-6 பேர் இருக்காங்க டிஸ்கார்ட் சர்வரில். ஸோ ஓரளவுக்கு க்ரோத் ஆகிட்டோன்னு அப்பன் ரிவ்யூஸ் பண்ணலான்னு இருக்கேன், லைக் ஃபாரினர்ஸ் பண்ணுற மாதிரி.
permitted you to come onto the stage. Now, I understand your admiration for my august self, but I must ask you to keep to the rules. All right. It is not my intent to reprimand you. There is no need to state your name. Just be off with you. Do not distract me from my performance. Oh, do not jest. Can you not feel it? I am Focalor. The eyes of countless Fontanians are upon me. I must, at all times, display the utmost elegance and... Dear audience, the performance is experiencing a technical difficulty, but worry not. The guards shall resolve it soon enough. It's over! Go! Think you can get away?
Wretched vermin! The wind rises.
Hey, what gives? The audience is still watching me, you know. Guards? Wait, where are the guards? Guards!
Behold! How amusing. Search for it.
Allow me. Go.
Farina.
Huh? Who's that? Who's calling me? Where are you?
Be not nervous. Be not afraid. I am before you.
Wait a moment. You're mirror me? How can this be?
Mirror you, huh? You know what? That's not bad. Let's go with that.
Mirror me? What do you wish to say?
The prophecy. Have you heard of it?
What prophecy? Wait. The people will all be dissolved into the water.
Oh, very good. You know it well.
What's going on? I can't seem...
Yes, it will. And that is why I've come to you.
But doesn't that mean everyone will die? I'm a Fontanian just like them.
Oh, don't worry. Magical meetings exist in this world precisely to give people a chance to turn things around. I will tell you how to save everyone, but you may have to suffer somewhat.
Oh, so there's still hope after all. Goodness, you frightened me. You spoke so much, and as for the suffering, well, I will admit that the first thing that came to mind was. But if the prophecy will come true, if there were scales, with all the people of Fontaine on one side.
You truly are the perfect human. I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you.
Huh?
Don't worry, it's nothing. Listen well. Fontaine has just lost its Hydro Archon. I need you to play a role. That of the new Archon.
Play as...
That's right. You must begin a never-ending masquerade. You must never let anyone suspect your identity. If you can keep it up, then I shall have my way of defying this prophecy.
But how will I do this? A human assuming the role of a god without being exposed.
Don't worry. What you must do is not to turn yourself into a real god. You simply need to play the role of a god. Being a human yourself, I'm sure you already know what such an entity would remember. Your true challenge.
So, how long am I...
To accomplish this mission, you will have to stay on the stage for many, but I promise you, all will of...
A trial, huh? What should I say to most appear like a god? To be honest, I still don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. And I'm sure you've all heard about how I have taken on the role of Hydro Archon. Indeed, I am Verena de Fontaine, your new Archon. In truth, I know little about becoming a nation's new god, but it will be my honor to guide you all as the god Focalor, the god of justice. I shall do all within my power to lead you into an age of fairness and justice. Once again, thank you all for coming. If you should have any questions or suggestions, please send them to this. I thought I might stammer, but thankfully, I was able to convey my thoughts just fine.
That's the new Hydro Archon. Is this some kind of joke by the Maison? I would have thought that a being that surpasses humanity would be a bit more...
Hey, did you hear that? She even told us to send her suggestions there at the end.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful? She's being so modest. What's the difference between her and an ordinary person?
If you ask me, perhaps the succession didn't actually happen.
Wait, what's going on? Why is everyone suspecting me of being a fake? Right. Mirmi said that I just need to play the role of a god. Calm down, Verena. Think. What do the people want? Assertive, with a strong sense of presence. One who can dispel all... Oh, very good, my people. Only one's such a... Now, I was wondering if some weak puppet were to one day come onto the stage and claim ownership of this Well, it seems that you would all see right through them. Having passed my test, you are qualified to witness wondrous trials alongside my... You may consider my previous act a door gift of sorts. I thought it was a debut that suited the atmosphere. Now then, let us be reintroduced.
Ah, so that was just a performance. How could I have forgotten that we were inside an opera house?
Personality? It's quite shocking, to be honest, but I suppose suppose it's a better look than before.
Such a fascinating and bold deity. How wonderful! Our future may yet be bright after all.
It seems I've turned them around. Best follow this My dear people, whether you acknowledge me or not, whether you trust me or nay, I say to you, keep faith in your ardor for justice. We have heard it said that this nation's sins can no longer be washed away. No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want me to play. The scales of justice should not weigh heavy in the hands of its god. On one side, it must carry fairness and may law be the prayer on our lips. May judgment be our worship. No, this won't work. They'll suspect me again. I must play the role that they want. There is, so long as I, the Archon...
Lady Farina, here are today's case reports.
Come now. Besides, none of...
If I may be so...
A magnificent
That's true,
No need for fright. And do not take what I said before too seriously. Go now.
Lady Farina,
No need. All right. They...
He is doing...
Lady Farina,
I see. It's as I thought then. As your god, all manner of signs. Really?
I'm...
The day is finally over, but it's good to see that everything's maybe this is fine.
Lady Farina, here are the new trial...
There'll be no need.
Lady Farina,
Indeed, my dear.
Lady Farina, we're detecting significant hydro...
Understood. I just... don't know. I feel utterly
Lady Farina, I've heard that the first member of our family who was honored to receive an audience with you...
What is...
Are you crying?
Really now? This must be the overflow of hydro from my person. Well, can't quite help being the god whose dominion...
No wonder. No wonder. A manifestation of your power.
So interminable. Hundreds of years must have passed by now. I never imagined if I reached my limit. I want to tell someone, anyone. I've conducted so many investigations. All I can do is keep heart. I must mean.
Farina, you don't have to shoulder this burden alone, although I don't know what you might be keeping from everyone. Your people are more than willing.
Share. That's impossible.
But even if your burden doesn't need to be shared, just share it with me.
A witness. Yes. And if Tevat is in its... He's right. I could confide in him, but if things don't play out as expected, the people... No, Farina. But what if it's Farina? You've worked so hard for so... Is it such an outrageous thing to do anyway? If you let this opportunity slip through your... Think about it. Long and hard. No, I have nothing to say. All you need to do, dear spectator, is to...
Fine.
So even Farina doesn't know the truth? You've never once let her in on the full plan?
Yes, it had to be done. To deceive the heavenly principles, you must first deceive yourself. She did very well. If she had let her resolve falter even once in these 5 centuries, Fontaine would have been... It seems that trusting humanity was the right decision after...
I believe that I understand how your deception works. But that is only half the truth. How would you build on this foundation to save the people of Fontaine?
Good. Of course, the Iudex of Fontaine has pinpointed the crux of the issue. I'm sure you've long sensed that the Oratrice is no simple machine.
I've always suspected that it had its own consciousness. And Lenny did mention that he heard a human voice within the core chamber. It now seems that that person was you, hidden within the machine all along.
And then I became one with the Oratrice, taking Fontaine's gnosis with me. Yes, it would seem... Alas, your understand... In truth, it is no enactor of justice. It is, in fact, a divine...
I beg your pardon?
Oh, you have it. And to be more precise, not only will the Oratrice take down the god of justice, it will also take down the divine throne upon which she has been placed. I mean, did you think I would be the sort to enjoy peaceful repose while Farina suffered? My work over these last 500 years has been to constantly accumulate indemnitium within the Oratrice. But really, some have already discovered that only a small fraction of the energy generated by the device was ever used to provide. The vast majority had to be accumulated.
It was all a part of your plan then? Both the trial and the sentence?
Indeed. This power, accrued over 5 centuries, could have sustained Fontainians for millennia, had it only been used for that purpose. Almost all of it has now been stored within the Oratrice. But only power of this magnitude could hope to destroy the Hydro Archon's divine throne, shaking the rules established by Celestia. and breaking through the institution that is the Seven.
So the Oratrice's call for death was for neither Farina nor Focalor, but for the Hydro Archon. The destruction of that divine throne. If I do not misunderstand your intent...
Returning what's rightfully yours to you, of course. In other words, this was all done to return the authority of the Hydro Archon to the Hydro Dragon of this planet.
But...
Oh, what? Getting sad again, are we? The authority of the ancient dragons shall soon be yours once more, O Hydro Dragon Sovereign. And this is the face you make.
all you've done throughout the years is just so you can sacrifice yourself at the very end.
I've never quite seen it that way, you know. Even now, I'm quite pleased at how well my deception worked. Hydro Dragon, don't cry. I must say, had it been within my rights, I would have loved to judge the heavenly principles themselves. Were they not guilty of essentially the same crime? Egeria stole the power of the primordial sea, and the heavenly principles stole the power you ancient dragons possessed. I, for my part, am the god of justice. And is it not just that your original powers should be returned to you? Speaking of justice, I have always believed that justice lies in the process of pursuing So, if the theft of the primordial sea's might was then, leaving matters of procedural right and wrong aside, the descent of the Fontaine, in other words, existence was Egeria's justice, and to me, justice is the continuation, defying the prophecy and ensuring that Fontaine. At this point, we, whether it be myself, Iudex Neuvillette, the highest judge in our land, when you regain your full power as an elemental sovereign, what verdict shall you pass upon us?
So when I was invited to the court of Fontaine to serve as Iudex, I see now that that was your idea too, at last. I now understand the true purpose behind this position. In the beginning, I was uninterested in human existence. But these 5 centuries of living alongside them have gradually brought about mutual understanding between us. And I am... You are a devious one, Focalor. Things being as they are, surely you know that I could never declare them to be guilty.
The hour of my execution is almost here. For the sinner, the curtain call has come. I know I may not sound it, but faced with death, I find myself a little afraid. Perhaps this is one thing both gods and humans have in common. Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Codex Nouvellette, hereby declare, people of Fontaine, your sins are forgiven.
Respect must be...
What just happened? Has the death sentence been carried out?
Was that bright light some sort of misdirection? I have a feeling that something...
But since we're all still alive and haven't been dissolved, I assume whatever happened was good for us.
It's time to end this. We must mete out punishment to that beast.
Didn't you say just a moment ago that it can't be defeated?
I have gained the strength sufficient to deal with it. Through certain means, I now have the ability to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from that creature. We should seize the opportunity to pursue our quarry. Traveler, now that the oratories can no longer function, I require an executor to help me mete out justice. The root of the calamities befalling Fontaine, the beast that enacts the prophecy. Its name is the all-devouring Narwhal. Come with me, traveler. The hour of execution has come.
But how are we going to do that? It's huge!
I have already done my best to separate the power of the Primordial Sea from the way. Considering the size of the beast, I cannot reach the power source. Unless we can find a way to attack it from within. I shall share a part of the ancient dragon's power with you. We shall look for an opening together.
The wind rises.
I can feel its sorrow and hostility.
Allow me! Here we go!
Behold!
The all-devouring narwhal cannot resist its instinct to devour. Continue to trigger its hostility. A chance will present itself.
Why is there a hole thingy over there? It looks really scary!
Search for
Help, brace yourself.
I have granted you my protection. Do not fear. Seize the moment and use my power to suppress its root from within.
Turret, bring refuge! Hold the line!
Think you can get away? Here we go.
Behold!
Manifest the authority of the ancient dragons. Witness the might of the primordial sea.
Thanks for helping with the cleanup. It should have been my job, but... oh well. It was just supposed to be a short private training session for me. I didn't think that my disciple and my master's pet would start brawling in the meantime. Well, actually, I had a feeling that it would happen at some point, but they bumped into one another earlier than I thought. What a...
That power. Who are you exactly?
Paimon has an idea. From what she said earlier, she must be Child's master. Skirk, it's just that he gave us the impression that she was the less talkative person.
I simply did not have anything to say to the weak. But you, on the other hand, managed to defeat the all-devouring narwhal without using power from beyond this world. So you may speak to me as equals. I have to agree. It's a strange use of a planet's primordial waters just to raise an all-devouring narwhal. That kind of power is wasted on it. It's not cooperative. It eats too much. And I have more important things to do with my time than pet sitting. All in all, it fails as a pet.
Miss Skirk? I think you might have missed the point.
The point being?
Well, being that this pet almost destroyed an entire nation. So what sort of person is your master? Well, Child's master's master.
Oh, right. So you don't know him. Sorry, I assumed you did. His name is Sertologi.
Huh?
I am unfamiliar with that name.
Huh. So Master isn't sufficiently famous. How should I describe him then? Have you heard of the name The Fowl?
The Fowl?
Still nothing? Well, how about the Visionary? Vetterfulnir then?
Ooh, that one we've heard! Rheindochter's part of the Hexen Circle. She's Albedo's mom, right?
Oh, so you do know that name. To be honest, I also heard all of those names and titles from my master. I don't actually know them either. But I suppose you understand now, yes? My master is likely a similar sort to Rheindochter. They are both pursuing some form of perfection.
Wait! Didn't you also mention a visionary person? Paimon didn't quite catch their name.
Actually, never mind that. I believe it expedient to inform you that the all-devouring narwhal used up nearly all its strength fighting you. Such roiling hydro energies will prove difficult for the planet's deep seas to digest. As such, the fontaine back on the surface has most likely been thrown into chaos. In other words, the prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
What?
Not to worry. Focalor has already managed to deceive the heavenly principles.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only Farina will remain, weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away.
Hey! Help! Over here!
Alliance initiate emergency rescue!
Hurry!
Hey, lend a hand!
Look! The water's receding!
It's a miracle!
Water's receding.
We didn't dissolve. The prophecy was wrong. The prophecy was wrong.
Are you right?
We're saved. The prophecy was wrong.
Silly churl, Billy churl.
இது முடிஞ்சிச்சு வர
The wind rises. I'm very sorry, Charlotte, but...
Oh, please, Linny. I'll only... Huh? What's happening here? I spent all night writing my piece about the Phantom Weasel, but just as dawn broke, I suddenly was...
That was quick.
Too late, bruh. That was quick, Aha! My instincts did not lead...
Maybe watching my high-altitude escape trick reminded her of a better time.
Huh. Okay, then. Oh, I remember... Quickfire question! Where did...
Oh, we went to this app. Actually, glad you mentioned.
What?
No, I...
What the...
Seems like the... Forgive my persistence, but when they're... Apparently one... Alright, I guess I'll leave you to continue the...
Leat'eq? Paimon didn't...
Don't.
Oh, really?
Phew.
Please, take good. I'd be really upset.
Quit following me.
The Soul renewed. The Spina di Rasula talks post-disaster rebuilding. I recently visited Poisson to meet with Miss Navia, spokesperson of the Spina di Rasula. And old soil can still give birth to new bloom, Miss Navia stated. Hope is like seeing a small skyship winglet, boon or bane of the Fontaine Research Institute. The various disputes that have arisen on account of Mr. Edwin, As people always call the first researcher mad, but few know what to call the second. Wow! Paimon barely recognizes the people in the reports. Are those really
What do you think? Pretty enthralling, huh? The Steambirds up. The value for these big scoops lies in Edwin's assistant, Jurier, created.
Paimon's curious?
And that's exactly. Oh, this time.
Behold!
Oh, it's you.
Hey, we're just having a look.
I'm here to update myself.
Let me introduce you. This is Mr. Garunt. Our residents are...
Hello, Miss Charlotte. I'm a big fan of you, but if you don't mind...
I get where you're coming from.
That would be fine.
Oh, you're back too. How are things?
We finished laying down.
Huh?
Well, her reputation's greatly risen after that whole duel.
There's too much to consider in the reconstruction of Poisson.
Oh, wait just a moment. Do you mind me asking a few questions?
Forget it.
I see you're this.
Well, if we're talking about doing things for my sake...
Of course I will. I'm not gonna let him off that easy. All right, then...
How did it go? Was it a good shot?
Not bad. Your addition really helped the composition of the picture. All right, hang on a moment. Let me snap a few more... All right, that should do it. I'll be back here later anyway, so let's call it a day.
You're very quick.
Speed is of the essence when it comes to the news. Also, not to brag, but I'm pretty... Wow.
I'll hazard a guess that this is how you got that interview at the fortress.
Whoa, you're welcome.
That's a...
In truth, I told him that it was...
You're right. I've got...
Stay safe now. And tell me...
The wind rises. Gah! Too slow. Quit following me.
Wow. Guess we're here again, huh? There's a real nostalgia.
Looks like you've been missing us.
Duke! Did you come all the way to the entrance to greet us?
Of course. I'm here to welcome you and our dear Miss Charlotte, whom our good head nurse recommends.
It's an honor to finally meet the much-rumored Duke.
No need to thank me.
Of course, of course.
All right then, this way.
Hey, no,
It would seem that Miss Lorvine doesn't want her...
Sir, please don't.
But it looked...
No, I just...
Now, I might not look it, but I actually did meet the boat that brought about a miracle. Still, if I might add...
Huh. Looks like...
I have to apologize, but that ship is present...
Really?
You already know my answer, I'm afraid. Best you interview our head nurse instead. Or perhaps...
Did you really have to use the word? Well, then, two solo...
Is my hair messed up?
Things sure are getting pretty lively here.
Oh, seems like everyone's here. Would any of you like to...
see...
Hey, Miss Sharp.
sure. Do I have to smile? So, how have things been at the...
Same old, as you can see. Fontaine's undergone some...
Other than that flying ship, I got a tad too...
That's why I decided to let the interview go through. We should direct...
You're too kind, sir.
I see. Lots of things happened that day, huh?
He sure did win them...
I'll tell them that there's good news and...
Oh, actually...
What change can there be? The fortress will keep chugging along. As to what Miss Farina's departure will mean for the nation, and if our laws and governance will be transformed, we'll leave those to...
Hey, everyone! The photo shoot's done.
Good. In that case, let's call it a...
Thanks for your cooperation. Come on, Traveler, let's go.
There'll be an...
Maybe. Who knows? I might write a... All right. Last stop, the docks.
Squall and Fury. The wind rises.
They really are! Navia mentioned that she stayed in touch with...
Traveler, Paimon. Ah, and Miss Charlotte.
Would you like a magic pocket?
What sort of get...
It's a wondrous
Trick a friend.
You could just make a friend like Fremine here. Isn't that right, Fremine?
To be honest, that sounds pretty sweet. Could I have...
You sure are working hard to help Fremine social.
He was the one who proposed doing this. He even wants to assist...
Yes, I was planning to first introduce Pear as an assistant.
And that said, would anyone want to see a diver escape underwater?
Oh, it'll work out.
Lynette, could you come...
Got it.
My, that Charlotte is rather perceptive. Father says that you...
That's all right.
Oh, I guess you haven't... After Lady Farina left, Father and Monsieur Neuvillette opened negotiations, during which he gave Fontaine's gnosis to her as...
A diplomatic gift?
Yes, I was quite surprised at first myself. But when I thought it over, there were actually a number of things going. It could have been done as an apology for the incident with Lord Child, or as thanks for his... Furthermore, Father did also...
Well, that's true, but this...
I would agree, but I've also heard that... It seems that Monsieur Neuvillette has had a significant change of heart regarding the...
So there's some...
I suspect you'll have to ask him...
Isn't he real big? But back to the topic.
They say that he's returned to Snezhnaya to recover from his wounds. I hear that the recent disaster really did a number on his health.
That's true. When you think about it, we've had loads of run-ins with the...
So shocked by such a simple switching of sides?
Father!
Well, what do you know? Come to the docks to see how my children are doing and meet the Traveler by chance. Please do not pay my accomplishments in Fontaine too much mind. I would have done them regardless.
Are you going to take the Gnosis back to Snezhnaya?
That is our duty as Harbingers. Yet don't be too preoccupied with sides. The goal of the Fatui concerns not a single place or person, but the entire world. With such a grand goal in mind, it is inevitable that we must wear many masks. Switching my masks is something I've always done. Well, that depends on many things. No one truly knows what the future holds. What good is honesty if you can't rely on it forever? As for you, I very much look forward to our next collaboration. Good things cannot be achieved alone, and you've proved yourselves to be great partners. A vision? All right. I'll remember to return it. Thank you for keeping it safe for him this entire time.
And that's a wrap for me. Huh?
Greetings, Miss Journalist.
Hello.
That is correct. So forgive me, but I will not be able to serve as a subject in your article. However, feel free to write as much as you'd like. The sea breeze is quite pleasant.
Farewell, Father.
Oh, she has such an intimidating presence. I didn't even dare to take a picture. Thankfully, I've already wrapped up all my pre-scheduled...
Don't be too nervous. Why don't you take a magic pocket before you go? Here, traveler, Paimon.
To move things about?
That's right. I guess this must be life. All right then. We'll be handing out...
Well, guess we sent Charlotte off. Shall we go soon?
Too slow. Behold! Search for it! Huh. The wind rises.
The entrance to the fortress! Ooh, he really is there!
Swallow Fury.
So, you really are here, Leat'eq. Paimon didn't think you were going to have free time this...
Really? Oh, I suppose you must have met Mr. Linney. He took the time to greet me earlier when he passed this way. In any case, you came at a good time. I was just considering reaching out to you to set up a meeting, so I may explain some things that I haven't had the time to before.
Aw, Paimon's glad that you remembered. Thank you for keeping us on your mind, what with you being busy and all. Alright, let's have it then. How was Fontaine actually saved? The whole business is still quite the mystery.
It is strange how words can often leave a bitter taste in them.
Whoa. So that's what happened? Focalor destroyed the divine throne of the Hydro Archon and restored your power to you, transforming you into a fully fledged elemental dragon sovereign. But Paimon still doesn't quite get what you did to save the Fontanians from dissolving.
For me, the authority of the ancient dragons refers to absolute control over the hydro element. Fontanians were incomplete humans born of Egeria's use of the power of the primordial sea, with constitutions similar to that of mimics. But so long as those primordial energies remain within them, I could use the ancient dragon's authority to grant them true blood, after the fashion in which life was first brought into being on this planet. In other words, when I gave my verdict, Fontanians became true humans, and thus would naturally no longer be dissolved by water from the primordial sea.
Focalor must have counted on you to make that decision as well. Your verdict was the key to making the prophecy appear to have come true while saving everyone. Yeah, and in a manner of speaking, Focalor finally managed to fulfill the original Hydro Archon's wish to turn Oceanids into real people too!
It seems from your expressions that you still have more things you wish to ask. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I have investigated his case along many avenues, and I have learned that he once fell into an unknown chasm when he was young. There, by chance, he awakened the all-devouring. But whether it be by sentiment or reason, that should not have been enough to consider him the root cause of the disaster. At most, as for the judgment passed by the whether it was due to that liability by association, or Focalor deliberately using him to buy time for us on the assumption that he would be able to hold the creature off.
Guess Focalor had Fontanians in mind the whole time. In the end, it was thanks to her that they finally became... hang on a second. Paimon suddenly got another quest. Back when Fontanians hadn't yet become real humans.
Life has always flowed like water.
Yeah, Lynette said the fountain is where all the...
In truth, even those couples did not... Those Oceanids...
Paimon...
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Yeah, about that.
Ah, Lady Farina. The people are only aware that her death sentence has not been carried out. She abdicated the post of Hydro Archon and left affairs related to that title to me, before leaving the Opera House. I related Focalor's words to her faithfully and completely. After hearing them, she seemed neither saddened nor comforted. She simply said that she was tired. Having said that, she then packed her things and moved out of the Opera House. Not unlike how an ordinary person...
But she's still got a place to...
You need not worry. I will make arrangements to ensure that she will not want for food, clothing, board, or In truth, I am somewhat happy for her. The wear and tear on her spirit will, of course, take time to heal, but now that she no longer has to play the role of Focalor the Hydro Archon, she can finally lay down her burdens and...
What about you then? What are your plans now that you've regained your full powers as the Hydro Dragon?
After Focalor passed on, the Oratrice also ceased to function. This matter will directly affect our trials. After much careful consideration, I've decided to take over its role in our courts. From now on, I shall hear cases and pass verdicts by myself.
Looks like you're still considering stuff from the perspective of the Leat'eq, huh?
As an elemental dragon, there are indeed many things that I must do. But this power and this duty, in a manner of speaking, you could say that both were granted to me. As such, before I attend to my other responsibilities, I must first and foremost continue to serve Fontaine as its highest judge. The duty of the Hydro Sovereign and the duty of the Leat'eq shall coexist within my person. Additionally, the Hydro Archon's departure has brought about another problem, which is that the Opera House shall no longer produce indemnitium.
That's true. That power was derived from the people's faith in the Hydro Archon, wasn't it? Wait, but the various mechs and machines in the city are all still okay.
As I am now, I have full command over New Musia, and it can serve as a complete substitute. Another reason why I cannot quite leave Fontaine immediately.
Wow. This ancient dragon's authority stuff is really quite useful, huh?
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Oh, that's right! They say you've given it to the knave as a diplomatic gift or something!
Leaving aside their intentionality, the two Fatui Harbingers have indeed done much for us during this crisis. Their sole remaining goal in Fontaine, at least at this point, would seem to be the Gnosis. The Oratrice has ceased to function. The Hydro Archon's divine throne is now no more, and I do not need the Gnosis's power. As such, it has lost all meaning for Fontaine. If the Fatui have impure designs, then we might as well accede to their request now. And
what complicated considerations? Paimon thought you were just giving it to them out of gratitude to the knave and as an apology to Child.
Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. You will soon be heading to Natlan, I presume. I'm afraid that I have little talent as a travel guide, so all I can do is tell you what I know about that land. As far as I'm aware, Natlan can be said to be a nation of dragons.
A nation of dragons? You mean like you?
No, I suspect that I would not find myself welcome there. Unlike ancient dragons such as myself, the dragons of Natlan have undergone long years of development and evolution. Large numbers of them have entered a form of coexistence with humanity. Natlan is also the nation of war. War ravages those lands like an undying flame. There is one other piece of information I got incidentally from my negotiations with the knave that I believe may be useful to... The Harbinger known as the Captain has thrown his hat into the endless ring of war.
The Captain. Sounds like a real tough customer. Seriously, everywhere you look, there's a Fatui Harbinger doing their thing.
I suggest that you fully prepare yourself before going to Natlan. In the meantime, Fontaine's doors will always be open to you. Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it.
Hang on a sec. Paimon's still got a question about... When we spoke to Linny earlier, he mentioned that we guessed that there...
So regarding this specific issue, I was... In truth, I exchanged some further words with that lady named Skirk after sending you two back to the surface. It went something like this.
Well, we're going to head topside to see what's going on.
What next?
The all-devouring narwhal isn't here, so I'm no longer getting any interference. I can finally catch the scent of your power, what it's made of. It is the authority of the planet's primordial dragons. but with something very similar to a god's curse mixed in. I'm sure I've encountered something like this before. What was it again?
I do not know what...
Ah, of course. How could I forget? You should have the remains of the third descender on your person, yes?
Remains? I've never heard of any such thing.
Huh. According to your parlance, I believe it may be called a gnosis.
Well, that much is true. After Focalor's divinity faded, she handed her gnosis to me. But I fear I have never heard of it described in the manner that you just did.
I've been training with my master, the Foul, ever since I was young, and I have never returned to the surface since. So most of the information I possess, I got from him. It is only natural for those who are greater than humanity to possess a different sort of common sense, which is why there are so many problems in our attempts to communicate with humans. Regardless, you should probably get rid of objects of misfortune to prevent any disasters from befalling. To live in itself is a blessing. But once a person dies, the bonds he once had...
What do you mean by that?
No need to fret. These are just my... personal thoughts. And my reason for no longer wishing to return to the surface.
This third descender you refer to, who are they? And when did they die?
Master never mentioned them to me. Perhaps it just wasn't that important for me to know. If you're interested, though, I could ask him. I'll be sure to pass the answer on to you next time.
Next time? You believe we will meet again?
I do. Wait. I have a disciple of my own, don't I? He can be the messenger, then?
That's what she told me. Whether it would prove useful or not, I wanted to pass that information on to you.
The remains of the third... So that's what the Gnosis actually are. Paimon just thought they looked like chess pieces. How could they be a person's remains?
All the same, assuming that there was no misunderstanding or special metaphor at play, that is what she meant to say.
And she said that it would bring misfortune and that you should check it, which is why you gave it to the Fatui.
If she speaks the truth, then I would simply be putting Fontaine at unnecessary risk by keeping it here. I had guessed that you might already be familiar with this concept, but I did not expect you to be one of them. That means that the Gnosis, which are exceedingly element-compatible and can even enhance elemental abilities, do indeed come from the third descender. I wonder, does your body also possess similar properties?
Like being able to use elemental powers without a vision. That does sort of count as special compatibility, right? No, let's not think about this stuff right now. It just feels creepy, comparing the Traveler to the dead third descender and all. That's what you say, but this topic still feels like bad luck. Once Child recovers, let's get some more answers out of him. Or go look for his master and get the answers that way.
I too believe it unwise to make too many blind guesses when information is lacking. The same is true of being at court.
Alright. Whatever the case, it seems like the crisis here in Fontaine's over for now.
Yes. All of Focalor's efforts were for this moment as well.
But she sacrificed herself in the end as a god. And she suffered through all those years as a human.
I suppose that would be the mystery of a god's will. I suspect not. But once in a while I too would guess that if wishes were like the clouds in the sky, life flows like water, and rain is the final... And what ultimately is the... It seems from your expressions that you still have... Ask away. I will tell you the truth as I know it. I suggest that you fully...
Yang kecil atau gitu. சப்மிஷன்ஸ் எல்லாம் இதுல முடிஞ்சிச்சா? அது எதிர்பார்க்கவில்லை. ஓ, புது ஈவெண்டா? $. Wow.
Ad Astra Ab. Thank you for
Itu. Salah, nanti sih main pada bye.